Mrs. Campbell-Collymore was gunned down on January 2. She was shot while in a taxi cab on
and
her
the
way
taxi
to
driver
an
Winston
upper
Walters were shot and killed on January 2, 2018 at the entrance to her apartment
as he was
complex
preparing to
on
go
Stanley
into the
Terrace.
offices of IIed Insurance to process an insurance claim regarding his late wife Simone
a U.S. citizen was captured in
A
St.
judge in
Elizabeth
the Home
while
Circuit
preparing
Court
to
on
leave the
Thursday
country.
ruled that Omar Collymore and alleged contract killer Michael Adams both have a case to answer. The men are on trial for the murders of Collymore's wife, 32-year-old businesswoman Simone CampbellCollymore, and her taxi driver Winston Walters, who were gunned down in January 2018.
At 32 years old, Simone Campbell-Collymore was a mother of two beautiful children, a wife and a businesswoman with 4 stores which she ran alongside her husband and real estate. To an outside eye, it might have appeared that she had everything, but looks can be deceiving. Things were not peaches and cream. Business was struggling and her relationship with her husband was in shambles. But as day dawned on the first day of 2018, no one could imagine the sinister plan that was set into motion, and that before sundown the next day, this mother and wife would be dead. Wayne and Karen Campbell did their best to create a loving home, a place where their 3 children wanted for nothing and felt safe and protected. Their children were their pride and joy, and they supported them in all their endeavors. Simone, the middle child, was their centerpiece, as her sister put it. She was vibrant, happy, and just fun to be around as a child. Not only was Simone fun-loving, she was fully committed to everything she did. And after finishing her studies at Merle Grove High School, Simone went overseas to pursue tertiary education, where she built a network of new friends. She was small in stature, but she was tough and could challenge her tallest friends to a game of basketball, and then transform from a tomboy into an elegant princess in the wink of an eye. The future looked bright for this young woman, and she was ready for the ride. In 2008, Simone started working at Kaplan University as a professor, and this was where she would meet the tall, dark, and handsome Omar Collymore, a student advisor. There was no resisting this tall glass of chocolate, and after a period of dating and a hot, steaming romance, the couple tied the knot on May 6, 2010. The young couple then purchased a home in the Sunshine State and started their life together. As with most marriages, the couple had their challenges, but life was good. And within a short time, they were making plans to welcome their first child, as Simone was pregnant. Back home in Jamaica, Simone had a tight-knit, loving family, so it wasn't surprising that the couple decided to make the big move, uprooting their growing family to move back to Jamaica. And when they returned, they were not disappointed. Simone's family welcomed them with open arms, and Omar became like a son to her parents. The many family pictures are testament to the deep bond that developed with Omar and Simone's family. One could look at the pictures and not be able to tell that he had not been a natural part of the family from the very beginning. Simone's father and Omar became so close that they would often wear each other's clothes. Omar Collymore was more than a son-in-law. He was family. They had no idea that the man living in their home as their daughter's husband was a monster that would eventually cause them unimaginable pain and suffering. Barbados is an eastern Caribbean island in the Lesser Antilles of the West Indies and has a population of over 281,000 people. Like Jamaica, it is known for its great weather and white sandy beaches. It was on this island that Omar Best was born, but at the age of 5, he migrated to the United States to live with his mother and a stepfather. Growing up, he relied a lot on his good looks and found his charm to be one of his best assets. Fidelity is one of the cornerstones of a good marriage, and without it, things will quickly begin to unravel. And soon after coming back to Jamaica, the fabric of this marriage slowly started to come apart, as it became evident that Omar was not as committed to the marriage as Simone was, and the issue of fidelity became a major problem in the marriage. Simone would have to face the harsh reality that her tall, hot glass of chocolate was being shared, and several women were taking many sips. January 2, 2018 may be remembered as a normal day for most people, if at all it can even be remembered. But for the Campbells and the Walters, it was the day that is forever etched in their minds. For this was the day Wayne Campbell had to identify his daughter's body at the morgue, and the day the wife of Winston Walters got the shocking call that her husband and breadwinner of the family was killed while driving his taxi. As the breaking news hit the airways, a video of the horrific act also began to circulate. 4 men on motorcycles rode up and sprayed Simone CampbellCollymore and her taxi driver, Winston Walters, with bullets mercilessly. They had no chance of surviving the attack. Omar, after hearing of the terror that had happened just outside the gates of the apartment complex, was quick on the scene, just in time to see Simone gasping for air. He appeared stricken with shock and in tears as he picked up Simone and carried her to the police vehicle to be taken to the hospital. The damage was done. Simone CampbellCollymore was shot 19 times, and Winston Walters, her taxi driver, was shot 5 times, including a bullet to his head. It was evident this was a hit, but who could give an order to commit such a heinous act towards a well-loved wife and mother, killing a hard-working man in the process? And what could be the motive? In the days and weeks following the murder, as Simone's family grappled with the tragic loss, several events happened, giving the police reason to suspect that Omar Collymore was involved in the murder of his wife. Simone's mother came across insurance documents for her daughter, the kids, and Omar. Omar was the beneficiary of his murdered wife's $120 million life insurance policy, and this was not the first time that Omar Collymore was the beneficiary of a life insurance policy that valued a large sum of money. The investigation uncovered a skeleton from Omar's past.
38-year-old Angela Aguiar was gunned down and killed at about 3:30 a.m. on June 30th, 2008 in downtown Fort Lauderdale. This summer, Broward Crime Stoppers began offering a $3,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of Aguiar's killer. According to police, the shooting happened in the 100 block of Northwest 2nd Avenue, where Aguiar was found in the street just west of the railroad tracks in Broward County's transit bus terminal. According to a police report, an officer who responded saw Aguiar in the arms of her boyfriend, Omar Best, on the ground near the passenger side of their Ford F-150. Best told police that after getting out of the vehicle to tie his shoe, he looked and saw a man standing next to Aguiar. The man pointed a gun at Best, who took cover and then heard gunshots.
He was part beneficiary of his murdered girlfriend's insurance policy and walked away with US $400,000. What's more is that upon the murder of Angela Aguiar, Omar Collymore was Omar Best, but later became Omar Collymore. But did Simone know about the dark secrets of her Prince Charming? Well, when she asked how he had come into the money he had, he did what he does best: lie. He told her the money was from a car accident settlement. Omar didn't waste any time in trying to collect the money from his dead wife's insurance policy.
There is this gentleman who was suspected of having his wife murdered last month. There was a news story, you may have heard it, about this lady that was shot up in her car or in a taxi. Apparently, this is the husband of that lady, and there is a conspiracy that he had her killed for the life insurance. He was visiting Allied Insurance a while ago to drop off paperwork for the claim, and Allied, yes, is on Belmont Road, and there were two men, nobody knows who, that were parked inside Allied waiting on him, and he got out, and they got out.
Lucky for him, though he was hit, his injuries were not serious. But this story gets even more sinister. As plans were being made to lay Simone to rest, Omar was busy making plans of his own. And on January 27, 2018, the day family and friends gathered for a funeral, the grieving husband was taken off a plane bound for the US as he tried to flee Jamaica. He claims he didn't know the funeral was on that day.
I personally tell him time of the funeral, the location, and blatant lie. I gave him all the information. Even the night before the funeral, we have the what name, set up?
No, the night.
No, man, set up, yes. I call him and tell him that what we're doing and all of that.
After being taken off the plane, he was questioned and released. But his days of freedom were numbered, and the next time he would be picked up by the police was at a guest house in St. Elizabeth when he failed to turn himself in after a warrant for his arrest was released. This time he was charged with murder and conspiracy to commit murder in the killing of his wife, Simone. In September 2018, while he was behind bars waiting to stand trial for the murder of his wife, Omar Collymore was once again slapped with murder-related charges in relation to another woman. As it turns out, in December of 2017, and just weeks before Simone was killed, a former lover of Collymore was driving home in St. Andrew when she was ambushed and fired on by gunmen. But unlike Simone, she's alive to tell the tale today. Omar Collymore had multiple mistresses and was funneling funds from his and his wife's struggling businesses to finance the women. In one instance, he gave his lover $3 million towards a business venture. What's more is that he rang in the new year of 2018 with one of his mistresses at her house, where he had brought his young son with him just the day before his wife was killed. Despite knowing about her husband's infidelity with multiple women, Simone was a wife who was trying desperately to save her marriage. Various text and voice messages entered into evidence were proof that Simone pleaded with Omar to give their marriage a second chance and to start living with her and their children just 2 months before the horrific day. In voice notes exchanged between the couple in October 2017, a frustrated and dispirited Simone was heard telling her husband that she wanted him and wanted her family together, and that she was willing to move past his infidelity even though it hurt her. It is unfortunate that Simone did not realize that there was no saving this marriage, and that Omar had already made up his mind to completely eliminate her from this equation. The good book says money is the root of all evil, and it was indeed the motive for this husband to orchestrate the tragic murder of his wife. Omar Collymore was broke and had no intention to work, so he devised the deadly plan to kill his wife for money. He betrayed the love and trust of people who welcomed him with open arms and made him one of them. He also caused the death of a hard-working man who was the breadwinner for his family. In the end, Omar Collymore and his co-convicts were all handed down life sentences, except for a man known as Jim Brown, who was killed during a confrontation with the police, and Shaquilla Edwards, because he had withdrawn from the murder plot before the victims were killed. He was sentenced to 1 year. 41-year-old Omar Collymore was handed down 2 life sentences for each murder and will have to serve 46 years, 6 months before being considered for parole. Both life sentences are to run concurrently.